As if we needed reminding, spring is on its way here in England. It's so nice to be with you today on a rather damp day. It is damp, it's not great, but at least the rain has stopped. Here we are then, we are back together again as spring approaches here in the UK. This is English Addict coming to you live from the birthplace of the English language, which is of course England. We are back together, everyone. Back together again. It's so lovely to be here on English Addict. Hi everybody, my name is Mr. Duncan. How are you today? Are you okay? I hope so. Are you feeling happy? I hope you are feeling good. Today, Wednesday is here and I am okay, not too bad. I can't complain, I suppose. It is good to see you all here as well. The live chat already very busy. Nice to see you here as well. My name is Mr. Duncan. I talk about English. I've been doing this for a very long time. This year, it will be my 18th year. 18 years on YouTube. Can you believe it? Well, I can't anyway. And I love the English language. I am an English addict and I have a feeling maybe perhaps you are as well. It is good to see you here today. We have an interesting week. I will mention first of all that this week is very unusual because we have an extra day. This year, of course, is a leap year, which means that February is longer by one day. So tomorrow is the 29th of February. However, it only happens every 4 years. And guess what? Well, can you guess? Can you guess what is happening tomorrow? Tomorrow there will be a phantom live stream. It will be on, but will it be there? Will it really exist? Because tomorrow is the 29th of February. And of course, I always feel sorry for those who are born or were born on the 29th of February because you only get to celebrate your birthday every 4 years, which must be rather annoying. But on the bright side, you can always divide your age by 4. Very nice. I like the idea of that. Here we are then, 6 minutes past 1 o'clock, just to prove that we are live. I'm in my little studio here in Much Wenlock, and today we have a very, I suppose you might describe it as a serious topic, a deep topic, maybe something that is topical, even today. Just before coming on, I made the mistake of looking at the news headlines. So I think maybe today, this particular subject is rather suitable. Today we are looking at the military, being part of the military, the fighting force, if you will, the military being in the army, for example, as you saw on the thumbnail. And I think if I was ever made or forced to join the army, I think the expression on my face would be very similar to the expression on my face on today's thumbnail for this live stream. I think so. So we are looking at the military, words and phrases connected to the army, and also, I suppose, war as well. So quite a big subject. And this is one that I've wanted to look at for quite a long time. So today I thought, why not? Because tomorrow we have our phantom live stream. It will be here, but will it be real? Maybe it will be just your imagination. We will have to wait and see. Thank you for joining me. So many people already here. Oh, very nice. Vitas, yes. You are today's first chat person. That's what you have to say now. You can't say chat man or chat woman. Chat person. You are the first person on today's live chat. It is so nice to see you again, Vitas. Also, we have Brandon Sanchez. Hello, Brandon. Nice to see you as well. Christina is here. Where are you at the moment, Christina? Are you riding your bicycle? Maybe you are skiing, either on the water or down the side of a mountain. Who knows? Also, we have Bahram. Hello, Bahram. Nice to see you on the live chat. English Addict is here. I talk about English quite often. We will feature a certain topic. Today we are looking at the military because I think it's an interesting subject, and I know that there are many women who are interested in that particular subject, not just men. Now, I know in the past the military was often thought of as a man's world, but of course these days women are just as free to join the military and be involved. Even I could join if I wanted. Isn't that nice? I'm not going to, though. I'm too afraid, to be honest. And of course, I don't look very good in green, as you may have noticed. Hello to Irene. Hello, Aziz. Hello, Palmyra. It's nice to see you here today. Who else is here? Hello, Poland. Does it Mentos? Does it Mentos? That makes no sense, to be honest with you. Hello from Poland. Hello, Poland. Nice to see you here as well. Also, we have... Oh, he is here. You know what's coming next. Hello to Luis Mendez. He's here today. Hello, Luis. Nice to see you back as well. Jeremy Schmid is here, also watching in Poland. Maybe we have a lot of people watching in Poland today. Who knows? Quetiba is here. Hello also to Mohammed A, who says hello. And also Sonia Romero, who is a teacher. I wonder what you teach. Romero, what is the subject? Sonia Romero, which subject do you teach? Please let me know. Do you have breakfast? I know it's a strange subject to suddenly bring up, but do you have breakfast? And what do you normally have for breakfast? Now, I remember as a kid, my parents always gave me some cereal to eat in the morning, normally something that came in a box, such as cornflakes or Weetabix. And there was that other thing that you used to mix with milk and water, something called Ready Brek. And my parents used to give that. Well, apparently we are now being encouraged to have cereal during the day, maybe for lunch or for an evening meal. However, the person who is encouraging us to do that also happens to be the CEO of the company that makes breakfast cereal. Is there any connection there? I don't know. But what about you? I have to say, sometimes I do like to have something in the evening or maybe as a quick snack during the day, a bowl of cereal, maybe some cornflakes or maybe some Weetabix. I love Weetabix. I do like Weetabix with some milk, a little bit of sugar, or maybe a little bit of honey as well. So can you eat breakfast cereal during the day at other times? Now, from my own opinion and my own point of view, I would say yes, you can. However, if you did that, then you would have to buy more boxes of cereal. And even that has become expensive. Even that has become a very expensive thing to buy. Breakfast cereal, cornflakes is the one most people think of. And of course, there are many different brands of cornflakes. So we often think of one particular brand, but of course there are many now. The ones I like are the ones that are covered in honey and have little bits of nut over the top of them. You know the ones I'm on about. They are absolutely delicious. Sometimes I will have 2 bowls of them. Does that make me a greedy person? I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe I am a greedy little piggy. Hello, Quatiba. Hello, Quatiba. Yes, there is a whole set of breakfast food. Now, of course, these days, because people have become more health conscious, there are people now having fresh fruit for breakfast. Traditionally, people would have something like grapefruit in the morning. To be honest with you, I find grapefruit a little too sour. It's not very nice. And of course, some people put sugar on the grapefruit before they eat it. So there are many types of food you can have for breakfast. But I suppose the most convenient one is breakfast cereal, something that comes in a box. Mr. Steve, for example, he likes to have porridge. So he will mix his porridge. He will use all of the raw ingredients and mix them together. He normally puts some blueberries in as well. I don't particularly like porridge. I'm not a very big fan of porridge. I don't like it very much, to be honest. So Sonia, what do you teach? Oh, I teach English too. Really? So why are you here? Have you come to find out how I do it? Maybe I can give you some tips and suggestions. Perhaps you have come here to give me some advice. People do, quite often. They will say, Mr. Duncan, we don't think you are doing this right. Have you ever tried doing this particular way of teaching? Or have you ever tried that particular way of teaching English? And there are many. Christina says, I like continental breakfast. So when you say continental breakfast, so from my point of view, continental breakfast is bread and ham, things like that. Maybe if you were in France, you would have croissant for breakfast. And I have to be honest with you, I do like croissant for breakfast. I really do. Very nice indeed, especially with a little bit of honey, or maybe sometimes I will put some cream cheese on the croissant. And of course, it has to be warm. You can't have a cold croissant. It must be warm. Sonia says, I am here to improve my English. Well, guess what? You are in the right place. By the way, if you like this, don't forget to give me a lovely like on the live stream, and hopefully YouTube will tell other people about it. Wouldn't that be lovely? Quatiba. As for my job of translation, which is your job, your career, I am waiting my own brother to help me with the tool that helps me to do the job greatly. Now, maybe you are talking about artificial intelligence, or maybe some sort of computer device. And this is a subject that I am going to talk about over the next couple of weeks, because translating has for many years been a very good career to get into. And of course, nowadays there are many devices, many types of software that can help you to do the job even better than before. Hello, Ariel. Ariel, thank you very much for your lovely super chat. It is nice to see you here today. Thank you, Ariel. It's very kind of you. I wonder if this year I will be accidentally bumping into you during the rendezvous of 2024. We haven't quite decided where we are going to be, but we do have some ideas, some small plans. So you might say that we have the acorns, but we haven't planted them yet. So there is no oak tree coming up out of the ground just yet. But as soon as we decide where we are going to have the rendezvous this year, we will let you know, and then you can make your plans as well. Very nice. So today we are looking at an interesting subject, the military. I've never talked about this before, and sometimes I do like to talk about subjects or look at words connected to a particular subject that maybe other people don't talk about. So today we are looking at the military. That coming up in a few moments. It is English Addict, and spring is just around the corner. The weather will slowly turn nice. It will become warmer. The days will be longer. And of course, the cows will be back behind my house.
I'm a big boy now.
It is English Addict, and I am here with you on this Wednesday. I hope you are having a good day. I hope everything is all right where you are. We have a big subject coming up right now for the rest of today's lesson, and I hope you don't mind that I bring this subject up, because I know for some people maybe it's not a good one to talk about, or maybe some people might object. Can I first of all say that I am not expressing any sort of opinion with today's subject. So there is no personal opinion, there is no personal editorial taking place. It is not my opinion. I will try my best to be as objective as I possibly can. So today we are looking at military words and phrases. When we talk about the military, what do we mean? When we look at things connected to the military. So we are looking at words and phrases connected to the military. And of course, you are welcome to join in as well with your own thoughts, your points of view, anything you care to mention. When we look at the word military, well, the word itself refers to any branch or type of armed force, such as the Air Force or maybe the Army. However, you will often find that the Air Force and the Army will be grouped together as being military. And quite often also you will find that the branch which consists of ships, warships, submarines, quite often will be a separate thing. So when we talk about the military, quite often we are talking about the Army and the Air Force. You might often find that the Navy will be separate. Something used as a means of fighting or defending. So military can be an adjective. You are describing the type of action that is taking place. The thing that is actually happening is military action. That is a military response. The way something is reacted to. Quite often we will use the word military. For example, we might describe a place as a military base, the place where soldiers or the supplies are kept in one particular place. We say military base. You can have a military organisation, a group, assigned as a military organisation. Maybe NATO could be described as that. Also, you have military purpose. So the reason why that particular group exists may be a certain army or a certain division of an army. So we often use the word military in more than one way, as a noun and also as an adjective. Then we have the word civilian. So civilian is quite often used apart. It is separate. So the military is the service for arms, fighting during conflict, and the opposite of that is generally seen as civilian. So the civilian is the person who is like yourself and myself, unless of course you are serving in the military. So civilian can be seen as the opposite of military, not serving in any armed force. We describe that person as a civilian, your average person, a person not involved with the military in any way. A person serving in the military is a soldier. So quite often a person who is actually involved in direct conflict or fighting will be described as a soldier. They are often involved in some sort of military exercise or action. To serve is to be on standby or active duty. So a person who is serving in the military is a person who is involved directly, or maybe they are a person who is involved but only when required or needed. So we often talk about active duty when a member of the military is actually involved in something. Otherwise, they might just be training. They might do some military training until they are needed. To serve in the military is now by choice, and this is a very interesting area when we start talking about whether a person joins a certain military force or not. So to serve in the military here in the UK, by the way, all of the references today will be referring to this country. So because it can vary between countries, most of what I'm talking about today will relate to UK military. To serve in the military is now by choice. During wartime, conscription was enforced. So during emergency situations, and I'm sure we can think of at least two of them, people were required to be enlisted. They would be forced, they would be required to take up military service. They would have no choice. Conscription is the forced enlistment to serve in the military. This was done during wartime. So the reason why I say during wartime is because here in the UK it has happened in the past. We have had conscription in the past. Conscription occurred in the UK twice, during World War I and World War II. It was known as national service. So during World War II, people were called up. They were required to take part in some sort of military duty. Fighting, admin, and many other areas of the military as well. And I think after the beginning of World War II, more and more people were required to be conscripted, or they had to join the army. They had no choice. So I think at the start it was just a certain age group. But of course, as the war went on and things became more serious, more and more people were required to go into service for the military. So you did not have a choice, which I find quite interesting when you look at the world now. In this country, we don't have to join the military. There is no conscription. There is no law that says that you have to take part in military service at any point. So it is by choice. When I say by choice, I mean a person will decide to have a career in the military. So when a person was required, we would say that they were called up. So a person was called up, their name was chosen, and that person would then be told that they have to report somewhere to begin their military service. So to be called up meant that you had to serve in the military. Those required to serve were aged between 18 and 41. So that was during the Second World War. As the situation became worse, then more people were called up. So these situations all relate to the UK. Nowadays, we don't have national service here in the UK. However, there are other countries that do have national service, and they do require young people to serve, I believe it's 2 years in the military. I believe Taiwan is one country, and also I think Vietnam as well also has military service, national service, and I believe that is also for a couple of years, 2 years. So all young people in those countries are required to serve a certain amount of time in the military. I believe also South Korea has national service. You have to take part in a certain amount of national service. Christina said for many years in Italy it was also mandatory. If something is mandatory, it means it must be done. You have to do it. You have no choice. It is not by choice. So in many parts of the world, national service or conscription still exists, but normally for just a short period of time. Quite often it is used as a way of shaping young people, which is interesting because here in the UK there has been over the years a lot of debate about bringing national service back here in the UK, because certain generations of people feel that young people need to have more discipline. Maybe that's true, maybe it isn't. So there are people now here in the UK saying that young people should at some point serve at least 2 years in military service. What do you think? Is it a good idea? A lot of people seem to think that it would. The military service includes the Army, the Navy, although not exclusively, and also the Air Force. So most countries have a certain amount of military serving in different ways. We often think of the Army as soldiers, foot soldiers, soldiers who march, soldiers who go to war on foot. And quite often also when we talk about certain types of equipment that are used by the Army, vehicles, tanks, armoured vehicles, vehicles that are protected by toughened metal on the outside. Sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And then of course we have the Navy. We are talking about ships, helicopters, and also fighter jets as well, which can launch from the deck of a large ship, normally called a carrier. So an aircraft carrier is a type of ship that is capable of having planes, normally jet planes, landing on them. And of course, submarines. We can't forget the submarines. Maybe, and again, this is just an observation, I think submarines are probably the type of military equipment that changed everything when you think about it. Because submarines are quite often hard to spot or find because they can go under the water. So I would say that these days a lot of countries do have a great presence, not on the water, but under the water, under the sea. Submarines. Would you ever go on a submarine? I have to say the answer to that is no, from my own point of view. Definitely not. We might use the word military in various ways. There are many things connected to the military. For example, you might have secret military. Many countries do have secret military, a secret army, covert is a great word. Something that is undercover, something that is hidden from view. We can say covert, a secret military. So here in the UK we have the SAS, and they are a type of secret military service. When they are needed, they will be there, but then they will vanish without trace. To serve in the military. So when a person takes part, or maybe they join a particular service, a fighting service, such as the army, for example, you serve in the military. To serve. So we often talk about a person who is in the military as serving their country. You do your service. You serve your country. You might say that you are in military service, to be in military service. Or, as we often say here in the UK, we often say in the forces. If you are in the forces, it means you are in the army, you are serving in the military in some capacity. You are in the forces. And that can be most of the types of military services. Army, Navy. Oh, now here are some words that are connected to military service and military activities. First of all, we have the word defence. Defence, of course, you can see here the spelling of that particular word is different in American English. So we will spell it different, and in the US they also spell it different from us. To defend. We all have to do this from time to time. Either as a group, lots of people will have to defend themselves, or an individual, maybe one person, will have to defend themselves. To defend is to fight off, or you stand up for yourself. So maybe military action could be a form of defence. You are preventing something from happening. So it can be from a group of people, a large group, a country perhaps, or of course an individual, one person has to defend themselves. They have to stand up for themselves. A very interesting word. And of course the opposite is quite often seen as attack. You attack, you defend. Attack, defend. Sometimes the attacker is seen as the sympathetic person, and sometimes the person who is defending themselves is seen as the aggressor. And that is an interesting thing to look at. There is a certain ambiguity when we talk about war and fighting. Who is in the right and who is in the wrong? Quite often this will lead to long and sometimes rather aggressive debates. Here are some words we can use connected to the military. You can have war. What is it good for? You're right. Absolutely nothing. I believe it was Edwin Starr who had a hit with that song many years ago. Conflict, a battle, something that is pushing against another thing. Conflict. So we often think of war as a type of conflict. Of course, there are other different types of conflict as well. You can have a conflict of conscience. So maybe something you have to do, maybe something you feel as if you must do. but perhaps you are unsure whether or not it is the right thing to do. You might have conflict in your mind, a conflict of what is right and wrong. So sometimes doing the right thing might not be the right thing for everyone. Sometimes there might be conflict. So when we talk about war, we talk about conflict, but of course conflict can mean other things as well. Maybe you have a conflict of interest. Maybe if you represent a person, maybe you are a member of parliament and you have to pass laws or make judgments. You have to make sure there is no conflict with your own interests. Of course, we have battle as well, another word that is used quite often, battle. A thing that occurs where one person has to fight against something else or someone else. We often talk about famous battles. A battle takes place all at once. One side and another side. They will meet in the middle. They will meet. They will fight quite often to the death. Of course, you can have a battle with other things as well. Maybe a certain type of habit. Maybe you are addicted to something. Maybe a certain type of food or maybe alcohol. You might have to battle your addiction. You fight against it. So battle can be used in many different ways. It can also be used as a noun and a verb. The battle took place. You battle something. You fight against it. And then, of course, we have the word fight. At school, many kids will get into fights. They will have a fight in the playground, or maybe one kid in the school will challenge another kid to a fight after school. And it would happen quite often. I remember in my high school, there would often be fights after the school day ended in the playground. So people would gather round and they would watch two of their classmates having a fight. Not always, but sometimes it would happen. I wonder if it happens anymore. Oh, I didn't use all of the words there. I apologise for that. And then we have skirmish. Skirmish. A short, aggressive battle. Skirmish. So maybe a brief battle or fight. Something that happens suddenly for a short time. Maybe something that isn't particularly serious. So skirmish means a brief fight, or maybe you are fighting but not too aggressively and it happens just for a short time. Skirmish. During wars there might be the occasional skirmish, a small outbreak of fighting. And then of course we have combat, which again can be used in more than one way. You combat something, to fight against something. You push back against it, to combat something. And of course, we can also use it as a noun as well. You might go into combat. You might try to fight against something. You combat something. You fight against it. You might combat hate in society. You might try to fight against it. Some more words connected to the military. Side. Side. When we talk about side, especially during some sort of military action, we are talking about those involved in the battle. Quite often there are two sides to a battle or war. Quite often you have one group against another group. or maybe many groups against many groups, which of course is what happened during the 2 world wars. It wasn't just one small group of people fighting another, it was those who were on different sides of an argument or a way of thinking. Troop. We often think of a soldier, a person who is fighting in a war, a person who is serving in the military, a troop. Of course, it can also be used as a verb to march. You troop, you march. Maybe soldiers will march, they will troop along the road. Unit, a small part of a military operation. So maybe a place where everything is kept, maybe the supplies, maybe there is a small group of soldiers, maybe there is a local headquarters. Unit is what we call it. Squad, a group of people who are involved in a certain area or place. A squad, group of soldiers, normally belonging to a particular battalion. Then we have company, very similar to squad. The company is the group of people involved in that particular conflict. Maybe a certain group of soldiers or a certain battalion. Strategy. Quite often when you have a plan, maybe something you are planning to do, maybe something you are planning to do in the future, you often have a strategy. In business, you will have a strategy. So strategy just means the plan for whatever it is you are going to do. We often think of game strategy. Chess is a very good example of strategy. So when you are playing chess, you are looking at your own pieces on the chessboard, but you are also looking at the other person's chess pieces as well. Strategy is planning what to do, normally over a long period of time. So in war, in battles, in the military, quite often there will be some sort of strategy, some plan that will go into operation. Tactic. Now, strategy and tactic are very different words, and some people do confuse the two. Strategy is your long-range plan. Your tactic is something you do whilst in battle. Maybe something you come up with, maybe something you decide to do as a way of easing the casualties or those injured or killed. Your tactic is something that is normally carried out during battle, something you have to do, some sort of action that you have to take is your tactic. Very different from strategy. Strategy is the long plan. Tactic is a short-term plan, normally whilst in battle, whilst actually fighting. Target. This is a word we often use again in English. Target is the point of interest. The thing that you are focusing on is the target. So target can be used in many different ways. In business, we often see the target as the thing you are aiming for. Maybe your sales figures. They have to be up. That is your target, to get your sales figures up. You are aiming to do that particular thing. Of course, when we talk about military targets, we are talking about places that we are focusing on, quite often for attack. Maybe something we are watching, that is the target. Maybe something that at a later date you will have to attack directly. Your point of interest is the target. Maneuver. Now I like this word. It's a word that many people misspell. Not me. I never misspell this word. Maneuver. A planned movement. Something you are planning to do. Your maneuver. Or maybe something you are carrying out. So your maneuver is moving around. Quite often you will move from one place to another. You maneuver. Maybe if you are in the military, perhaps you will practice your maneuvers. So things that you have planned, if you go into action, you might practice those things. You will practice the maneuvers. Planned movement. Here are some words. I'm sure many of these words are familiar to you. Weapon. A fighting tool. Something you use to fight with, or something you use to defend yourself with. So we often think of weapons as something used for attack. But of course, weapons can also be used as defense as well. You defend yourself with a weapon, you attack with a weapon. Two people will fight with a weapon or weapons. Artillery. When we think of especially the First World War, during the First World War, artillery was one of the main types of weapon used. Large guns that were positioned on the ground. Huge, heavy guns. Ground fixed guns. So quite often we think of artillery as being heavy and fixed in place. Weaponry is a collective noun. So the word weaponry is a collective noun. All things used as weapons. The weaponry. Maybe a place where you store weapons might be described as the weaponry. That is the area where all of the things used to fight with are kept. Then we have ammunition. Ammunition is another interesting word. Ammunition is, well, it's the things you use when you fire guns or you shoot with a certain type of weapon, missiles, bullets, the actual material that those things are made of. So when a bullet is fired, it doesn't just fly through the air, it also explodes or breaks or bends or crumples. It does another thing after it has been fired. For example, missiles will fly, but then they will explode. Sometimes they will explode before the impact. I suppose a good example would be the atomic bomb. So the atomic bomb is detonated before it hits the ground. It has to have that reaction in the air to do what it has to do. So when we talk about ammunition, we are generally speaking about bullets, missiles, things that are fired. Here are some noun and verb words. Noun and verbs. First of all, we have the word bomb. Bomb. Something that explodes, something that is timed to explode is a bomb. A type of explosive is bomb. Of course, we can also use this as a verb as well. So the actual thing is a bomb. But of course, if you drop bombs from a plane, you also bomb. you are dropping bombs, you are bombing. Bombing, you are dropping bombs. The word bomb can also be used to describe failure. If you fail at something, it will bomb, it will drop, it will fail. So there are many ways of using that particular word. Gun. Once again, the word gun can be used as a verb and a noun. The actual weapon is a gun, but of course you can gun down. You can gun someone. You are actually doing it, the action itself. Raid is another one. A raid takes place, or you raid something or somewhere. A raid takes place. You raid an area. So that, once again, can be used as both a noun and a verb. Fire is another one. It can be used as a noun. You are describing the burning, the flames. A fire is taking place. A fire has occurred. But of course, if you shoot a weapon, if you fire a weapon, then we are using it as a verb. Kill is another one. The word kill can also be used as a noun and verb. So a kill is the action or the successful action of shooting someone dead. And of course, kill can be the action of actually doing it. Military words now. We have a few more to look at, and then I will finish today. I know it is a big one, but you can watch this again with captions later, and you can follow this because there are a lot of words. You can always watch it later. Military words include ambush, which is a surprise attack. To ambush is to attack someone by surprise. They were not expecting it. You ambush someone. Mercenary. We will often hear of mercenaries, private armies, soldiers that are paid privately by private companies to maybe go into another country, maybe to take out or take part in some sort of military activity. But they are not official. It is not an official army. It is something that is unofficial. So when we talk about mercenary, we are talking about a paid soldier or a paid army, not official. The A-Team. We're a group of mercenaries. If you can find them, then maybe you can hire the A-Team. You never know. Outbreak. The beginning of something, the start of something, when the first occurrence of something begins. The outbreak, the beginning, the start. The outbreak of World War I. The outbreak of World War II. The beginning, the start, the first instance of that thing happening. Then we have ceasefire. To have a ceasefire means that you stop fighting. Maybe it is temporary. So sometimes the ceasefire can last for a short time, for a particular period of time. Sometimes it can be permanent. The ceasefire is permanent. An agreement is reached. So everyone will stop shooting each other, which is always a good idea when you think about it. Military words, we have more of them now. Truce. You reach a truce. You agree to pause the fighting. So when we talk about a truce, we are talking about an agreement between two sides that are fighting. They agree to pause the fighting. They reach a truce. Then we have another word. Quite often this is related to the military quite often. Coup or coup d'etat. A sudden action. Quite often a country might be taken over by another group suddenly without warning. And there are many countries around the world over the years that have had coups. A coup d'etat is a sudden, swift action to swipe suddenly. Treaty. Quite often at the end of a war, both sides or those who are in conflict with each other will sign an agreement. You reach an agreement to stop fighting. Formal agreement to stop fighting each other. The word blitz is another word that might be related to types of battles, conflicts. A large-scale attack, a very heavy attack. During the Second World War, the Blitz would often relate to the bombing of London, when many bombs were dropped overnight or during one particular attack. It is often referred to as the Blitz. Now we have words that are opposite to each other before we finish. We have war and we have peace. Opposite words. Unfortunately, these days we seem to be hearing more about the first word than the second one. Then we have foe and friend. Foe is often seen as the enemy or the aggressor. Friend is the person who you always welcome. Attack, to push against, or to invade, or to begin fighting with someone. Quite often by surprise, an attack. And of course we have the opposite, which is defend. However, it is always careful. It is always best to be careful when you are talking about those two words, because one person who is attacking might not necessarily be the bad person. That is what some people say anyway. So to attack and defend. You are attacking something, you are defending something. Then we have fall. Fall, of course, means to go aside, to fall aside, to give in, to quit, to fall, or, of course, to be defeated. You fall. And then, of course, the opposite is often stand. You stand. You defend yourself. You stand your ground. You stand up for yourself. In battle, maybe if you are being attacked, you will have to stand up for yourself. And then finally we have relent. Relent, which means to give up, quit. You allow that other person to win without fighting, or maybe you quit fighting. And then of course we have the opposite, which is fight back. So a group of people will fight back against someone else, another individual, or of course another group. And for those wondering, the world wars. So these are the ones that most people refer to when we think about war or battles. And these are the ones that most people refer to when we talk about human beings disagreeing with each other and going to the extremes of war. World War One between 1914 and 1918. Two groups of people, they both wanted their own way. There we go. 4 years of war. World War II, a little bit more complicated. Not just one country involved, many wars taking place in different parts of the world. It ended 20 years before I was born, almost to the day. I believe it was the 14th of August, 1945, when the Second World War officially ended. And of course, 20 years later, I was born. So those are the two wars that many people think about. But of course, there are many others that have taken place and are still taking place around the world. So there it is. A big subject, but I hope some of the words used in this lesson today have been useful. So I'm not saying what I think. I'm not giving you my subjective point of view. I have tried to be objective today. Thank you very much for your lovely company. I know it's a big one. I know this is a very big subject, and I do understand if you don't want to listen to this, but there might be some words that are important, which means you can watch it again. If you want to watch this lesson again, you are more than welcome to do so. And there will be captions later on as well for those who want to have them. I am back tomorrow. Isn't that interesting? Because of course this month is different because we have an extra day. So I thought it would be a very good idea to go on tomorrow with a secret phantom lesson, because it can only happen every 4 years. You can only have a live English addict on the 29th of February. Not always, every 4 years. So I am with you tomorrow. Can you believe it? A short live stream tomorrow, because it is an extra day. So I think it will be a good idea not to waste it, because you don't often get extra days in your life. So I'm going to look at tomorrow as a bonus day, and I'm not going to waste it. Thank you very much for your company. I hope you've enjoyed today's live stream. It has been a little bit different. It has been slightly different from usual. But I hope you have enjoyed it anyway. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a peaceful day. I hope you don't have any battles or fights with anyone. Be friendly and keep that smile on your face as you walk amongst the human race. And I will see you tomorrow from 2 p.m. UK time. This is Mr. Duncan in England saying thanks for watching, and of course, you know what's coming next. See you tomorrow. It is the Phantom Lesson. I hope to see you there. The birds sound very happy. Ta-ta for now. See you tomorrow. Maybe.